and we are occupational therapy students at the University of South Alabama, and we will be providing a video demonstration of the Minnesota Rate of Manipulation Test.
The Minnesota Rate of Manipulation Test is developed to measure the speed capacity of simple but rapid eye-hand coordination and is necessary in many shop and office occupations where it is not necessary to select different sizes and shapes. This test measures relatively simple muscular reaction time to visual stimuli. Precision of eye-hand coordination is not an important factor, but merely the speed of gross hand and movements. It is an ideal test for semi-skilled operations such as wrapping of food articles, packing of components, and similar articles in envelopes, and in filling containers with pills and capsules. It is also applicable to many clerical operations such as sorting checks or addressing cards.
The aptitude measured by this test is said to mature early in life so that standard adult norms are applicable for children as young as 13 to 15 years of age. The best results are obtained from this test when competition enters the picture. The best procedure is to have at least 2 participants tested at the same time. Each person should be given 4 trials to produce the optimal effect. It is important that the mental attitude of the examinee be keyed to the highest pitch of attention and interest. Cooperation and motivation are also primary factors. The instructions should be well understood, they are simple, and the practice period should be carefully observed. There are 2 independent tests, and the instructions should be followed very carefully in each case. The placement test, which measures the rate of hand movements, and the turning test, which measures rate of finger manipulation. Now we'll be demonstrating the Minnesota Rate of Manipulation, and I will be the client with right-handed weakness and limited range of motion, and Fabian will portray the occupational therapist.
This is the placing test. The board should be filled with blocks, all with the same ends up, lengthwise, on a table. This is a speed test. Push the board away from you, leaving a clear space of about 12 inches wide in front of you. Now lift the board off the blocks, leaving them in their original position, and place the empty board in the clear space before you so that the upper edge of the blocks just touches the last or lower row of blocks, and see that the holes are in line with the blocks. You will have 1 trial for practice. Do not try for speed during this practice trial, as it will not count in your score. Begin at your right. Put the bottom block into the top hole at the right edge, and the block second from the bottom into the second hole from the top at the right, and so on right down the line until all 4 rows have been filled. Now repeat this procedure for the rest of the columns, working from right to left. Use only one hand, either your right or your left, and rest the free hand on the table if you wish. Now finish putting in the rest of the blocks. After you've allowed sufficient time for the testee to complete the practice trial, you begin the next portion. Your score will be the amount of time in seconds it takes you to complete this test 4 times. I will record the time for each trial separately, and when you finish a trial, stop and wait for the signal before starting a new trial. I will say, ready, go. At the word go, begin and work just as fast as you can. We shall go slowly between trials in order to prevent any tendency to become tense. Please relax between trials while getting ready for the next trial, but in doing the test, speed is important. Ready? Go. Good. Now we are ready for the next test. This is also a speed test. The object of the test is to time how fast you can turn the blocks over. Do the back or top row furthest away from you first. Begin at your right and work toward the left. Put your left hand on the block in the upper right hand corner of the board. Lift the block out of the hole. Turn it over and put the block into the same hole with the right hand. You take up the block with one hand, turn it over, and put it back with the other. Now do the whole top row the same way. Okay, now begin the second row right where you left off. Change hands, pick up the block with your right hand, and set it down with your left hand. Okay, now do this row in the same way as you did the first row. And now do the fourth row in the same manner as you did the second row. Good. Now that we've done the practice session, we will do the actual testing. Your score will be the amount of seconds it takes for you to do this 4 times. We will take the time for each trial separately, so when you finish a trial, watch for the signal before you go on to the next one. Ready? Go.
imagery of my right hand, we expect that my score will be in the below average range for scoring. So I have, as I said earlier, limited range of motion in my right hand and weakness, so we don't expect the results to show that my performance is at its peak performance. We're probably going to see a lower functioning in my right hand for the placement test because I'm just using my right hand. For the turning test, we may see that it is still below average, but maybe not as low as the placing test because I was able to use my left hand as well to kind of compensate for time's sake, and we will see that whenever we talk about the results.
The following are Elizabeth's scores on the Minnesota Rate of Manipulation Test, also known as the Manual Dexterity Test. This is Table 2 for the interpretation of the scores. And this is Table 3. As you can see, you have the raw score, a percent placement or quartile, and a percentile. Okay, Elizabeth, your results place you in the 26th placement and the 5th percentile for the placing test, which is considered a very slow speed, which is something we expected to see with your hand injury. As far as the turning test, we saw results that place you in the lower average category with a total score of 205, a percent placement of 42, and a percentile of 29. So your scores on the turning test are obviously a little bit better than your scores on the placing test due to the fact that you were able to use both hands. It was a bimanual test.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the results that we expected, and then the results that we got. And I just want to show you on the table here, we have an easy way to see how to interpret the speeds that you got. With your percent placement quartile of the placement test, which was a 26, that places you at a very slow speed. In other words, at the moment, you should be employed in an occupation where speed is not a necessary item. For your turning test score, you were in the lower average category, or 205, and the 42nd quartile, which places you in the lower speed average, where you should be employed in an occupation where speed is not a major item. Major and necessary being the difference between lower speed average and very slow speed. So you're doing just a little bit better on the turning test. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is our demonstration of the Minnesota Rate of Manipulation Test.
Thank you.